Welcome back, students. In our last explainer, we talked all about how the human heart acts as a pump to push blood and nutrients everywhere in the body. But today, we're shifting gears to something just as wild and entirely different. Think about it. How does a massive tree defy gravity and push water hundreds of feet into the air? I mean, plants don't have a beating heart, right? No blood, no arteries. So how on earth does water get from deep underground all the way to the topmost leaves? And how does the food made up in those leaves get all the way back down to the roots? Here is our roadmap for today. We'll look at the plant transport mystery, dive into the xylem for upward water movement, check out the phloem for distributing food, break down transpiration and stomata, and then wrap up with a quick revision. Let's jump right into part 1, the plant transport mystery. Even without a central pump, a plant's roots absolutely have to pull in water and minerals from the soil. And at the exact same time, its leaves are working hard making food through photosynthesis. Every single inch of that plant needs that water and that food to survive. Getting those resources exactly where they need to go, well, that's the ultimate biological puzzle we are solving today. Moving on to part 2, xylem, moving water upward. Okay, meet the xylem. You can think of it as the plant's one-way water elevator. It's a special vascular tissue, and its one and only job is to carry water and dissolved minerals straight up from the roots, delivering them to the stems, leaves, flowers, and fruits. Now, it's not just a basic hollow tube. The xylem is a complex structure made of tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. But for Class 10, the big takeaway is that the vessels and tracheids act as the main heavy-duty water pipes doing all the heavy lifting. And here is a really cool bonus feature. Because xylem is mostly made up of tough, dead cells with very thick walls, it actually gives the plant serious mechanical support. So it's not just internal plumbing, it is quite literally the structural scaffolding holding the plant upright. But water doesn't just magically float up, does it? It's pushed by root pressure from below, helped by capillary action inside those tiny neurotubes. And most importantly, it's pulled from above by something called transpiration pull. Honestly, that transpiration pull is the real MVP for moving water in tall trees. All right, part 3, phloem, distributing plant food. Enter the phloem. If xylem is a strict one-way elevator, phloem is a bustling two-way highway. It takes the food prepared up in the leaves and ships it out to every other part of the plant. Up, down, everywhere. It's highly dynamic. How does it do this? Well, the phloem relies heavily on sieve tubes to actively push that food along. They get a lot of help from companion cells, phloem fibers, and phloem parenchyma. Together, they don't just move the food around. They supply nutrients to growing roots and stems, and even pack away extra food materials for the plant to use later on. You will absolutely want to remember this specific word for your exams, translocation. Whenever we talk about the phloem moving that prepared food up and down the plant, biologists don't just call it movement, they call it translocation. Let's do a quick head-to-head comparison, because this pops up a lot on exams. Xylem handles water and minerals on a one-way upward street using mostly dead cells that double as structural support. Phloem, on the other hand, handles prepared food in a two-way flow using living dynamic cells without really focusing on holding the plant up. Let's move to part 4, transpiration and stomata explained. So what exactly is transpiration? Basically, it is the plant sweating. It's the constant, continuous loss of water vapor from parts of the plant exposed to the air, mostly the leaves, and it happens invisibly through tiny, microscopic pores called stomata. You might be wondering, why lose all that precious water? Well, it's actually a brilliant biological engine. As water evaporates at the leaves, it creates that powerful transpiration pull we talked about earlier, literally vacuuming water right up the xylem. Plus, it cools the plant down on a hot day, gets rid of excess water, and pulls vital soil minerals up along for the ride. Of course, the environment totally changes how fast this happens. A hot, windy, or really bright sunny day, that speeds evaporation right up. But if it's a super muggy, humid day, or if the plant actively closes its stomata, the whole process slows way down. Speaking of closing stomata, let's look closer at those tiny pores. Mostly found on the shaded, lower underside of leaves, they act like high-tech security doors. They don't just stay open 24/7. Each stoma is tightly guarded by 2 specialized guard cells that actually swell up or shrink down to open and close the pore. Aside from letting water vapor escape, These stomata are incredibly important for breathing. They act as control valves, letting carbon dioxide in and oxygen out. Without them doing this gas exchange, photosynthesis literally couldn't happen and the plant couldn't survive. Bringing it to the finish line with part 5, quick revision and questions. Let's recap what we've learned. We cracked the transport mystery. Plants don't need a heart. They use xylem for one-way water transport and phloem for two-way food translocation. And it is all powered by the physical force of transpiration, carefully managed by those tiny stomata and their guard cells. Now, ask yourself, can you clearly explain the difference between xylem and phloem? Can you list the exact advantages of transpiration? If you can nail those questions, you are totally ready for your board exams. Seriously, I highly recommend pausing for a second and trying to explain it out loud right now. Think about this. A single large oak tree can pull 40,000 gallons of water a year straight up into the sky without a single heartbeat. Next time you walk past a giant tree, I hope you stop and picture that invisible, raging river flowing silently upwards inside the trunk. It is an absolute masterpiece of biology. Keep that curiosity alive, and we'll see you in the next explainer.